Welcome back, ladies, gents, and amorphous blobs. Today I want to speculate with you. I want to describe to you why climate change, net zero, and the depopulation conspiracy are all connected. To start with, the depopulation conspiracy stipulates that there should be a maximum human population of 5 million, and that 5 million should be on the equator at a specific spot where there's a large amount of ozone above, the biggest, thickest patch of the ozone layer. And with 5 million people, they can just about run everything perfectly efficiently, and they can just about keep the carbon emissions down so that that ozone can reasonably absorb it. Now, ozone gas, or the ozone layer, is generated through a process where the sun's heat and radiation hits into the atmosphere of the Earth, and it's like somehow the chemicals in it change the air into ozone, and that breaks down into oxygen. So that's how our ozone and our atmosphere is generated. And this peculiar looking spot here is where the two oceans meet over the equator. So you can see there's fresh water on one side, nice blue glistening water, and then over the other side it's like a green murky blue colour where it's salt water. So it's one of the few places on Earth where you'll see something like this. You know, a straight line in nature is a very rare thing. And it's absolutely great conditions for growing things or performing science, as long as you don't make too much mess. Like I say, if you keep it to a manageable minimum, the level of ozone above you is going to get rid of all those emissions for you, so long as you don't throw anything in the water or let your population get too big. The weird thing is, properties over there are actually very cheap. You could get a massive mansion, loads of grounds, you can get all kinds of stuff in places like Equatorial Guinea. But nobody does. I'm not quite sure why. I'm sure there's some perverse reason why people don't. But the fact is, there's lots of famous and rich people and celebrities and quote-unquote, specials, secret government types, or, people are suspicious of them being secret government types that have these properties or own properties there. So, how does this affect you and I? Well, unless you're planning to be one of those 5 million people who are incredibly wealthy, incredibly well connected, and considered to be important on the world stage, I doubt you'll end up being one of those 5 million, unless you've already got some kind of hook to get in there. So it does affect you in as much as you will be one of the people who will be left out, you won't get there, and pretty much everyone you know and anyone that comes from you will fail to get there as well. If this is a truth, obviously it's all conspiracy at this stage. It's not even conspiracy, it's just me speculating, so I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not saying this is definitely true. I'm just saying, with consideration of everything we know, it's quite likely. Thing is, though, people don't like being killed off. They don't like being made poorer and being made to starve and freeze on purpose. So, they look at these pictures and they think, oh, that's lovely, look at that at the reaches of the Earth, but I'm never going to get there. No, I'm too busy wondering how I'm going to fill up the car, how I'm going to fill up the fridge. How am I going to keep the lights and the heating on with the cost of living rising perilously ever higher? Not to mention I've got to drive through London, that's another £12.50 down the drain. But it stands to reason. All the places under the yoke of this net zero climate policy who have to pay increased energy prices like we are, increased food prices like we are, and commodity prices like we are, you just don't see that kind of thing in Equatorial Guinea. In these particular places, life, like I said, is extremely cheap, especially if you're from here or some rich country. And when you look at it like that, it makes perfect sense. Just have a little hidey hole over there and then make everybody else suffer with the net zero policy. Even though you know full well it's not doing anything to change the environment at all. It's definitely not getting rid of the pollution in the climate. Bearing in mind, the entire UK's output of pollution in the last 250 years is less than this year's output from China. So by the end of the year, they would have doubled our country's entire output from the last 250 years. That's how to stop climate change. Stop that. If we switch our whole country off, it is less than a 0.01% of the whole climate problem. Funnily enough, Equatorial Guinea is probably one of the only places that's lower. Even if you put 5 million people there, as long as you keep it underneath that ozone patch. So if you're one of these long-term thinkers, an Illuminati, secret government spy type, a conspiratorial type, if you're that, You're not thinking, how do I do this? You're already doing it. You're thinking, how do I keep this quiet for long enough? And that's it. They just deny. They give us graphics, and they give us celebrities, and they give us false promises, and they give us debates, and they give us referendums. But at the end of the day, we should recognise what's going on here. Allegedly, of course, according to me and my suspicions. So it doesn't matter if you drive an EV or whether you drive a diesel-fueled tractor. It doesn't matter whether you use a heat pump. It doesn't matter whether you have a house at all. You could live on the road and have a zero-carbon life. It does not matter. It's a tip of the iceberg, and the rest of it, 99.9% of it, is industry and military use from the big countries, India, China, Brazil, Australia, America, and Europe. And so the solution is clear. There's only one way that we're going to make this species carbon neutral. And that's, like I say, 5 million people in that spot on the equator, and everybody else gone. All the other creatures that make methane, cows and livestock, everything gone. But it's just a theory. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you next time. Perhaps the solution is for them to stop taking air readings next to main roads, rather than to assume that we all have crap air when we don't live near roads. Ha! Who needs common sense when you're the government? Anyway, see you next time. Bye now.